Hi, my name's Liz. I'm in Iqaluit, Nunavut in northern Canada, and this is a final video presentation for my GAFE Class project. My original goal was to create a space using Google Sites for my department to share various resources for both math and science. We're a small department. We only have maybe 6 people, but because there's a high transient nature in the staff, everybody thought that it would be a great thing to have like a central region online for teachers to be able to share and collaborate on resources. So that's where I started from. My other goal was to connect my students to the larger world as it is, using the various Google apps for their Physics 30 course. I started out with 5 students and now I've got 3. Again, it's a very small school. We only have about 300 students in a town of 7,500 on Baffin Island in the Arctic. So the tools that I decided to use, again for the staff, I wanted to use the Google site again to create a space, and I created one major site that included sub-files and subheadings for both math and science, and then for each of the individual courses underneath that. For the students, I used pretty much the entire suite of Google apps, including a site specifically for my Physics 30 class. I used Google Docs, Google Draw, Google Sheets, Google Forms, Google Cal, and Gmail for a variety of things, communicating, collaborating, creating for the Physics 30 class. I introduced the students initially to the Drive, which has been the most valuable tool that we've used. They use Docs for notes, sharing and collaborating on various notes for the physics class. They used the Docs for creating their lab reports, including researching and citations. I showed them how to use APA, which is generally what students are expected to do for science courses, but I also showed them how to do it in MLA style. And they were able to then use the Google Docs in their English class remarkably well, which is awesome. They also used the Google Draw to create free body diagrams, which shows the net forces acting on any body, which is one of the central ideas of the physics course. We also used Gmail to communicate. If the students had questions over the weekend, they could email me, although they also know that I was in bed by 9 o'clock, so they couldn't expect an answer from me. They'd get it at 6 a.m. the next morning. And we also used the Google Calendar to, clearly state expectations when things are due, when certain timelines had to be done. Which was great, and the students always had a couple of reminders, so there were never any excuses for not having something done and saying, oh, I didn't know. Well, did you check your calendar? And you should have gotten at least 3 reminders on every assignment that you had. The students' reaction, at first it was really time consuming and they had a little bit of tricky time. Again, up here our internet doesn't work very well or very reliably, so sometimes that was a bit of an issue. But as time went on and they got more familiar with using the Google apps, especially the Drive, Calendar, and Gmail, it's seamless now. Like I say, okay, time to make your Google Doc, off you go, and they can create a document in seconds, again, depending if the internet's working or not. Again, what's great, I had a lot of my students traveling for Arctic Winter Games, and they were actually able to, do a lot of their work while they were competing in Fairbanks, Alaska, which was really phenomenal. I know I'm also going to be away this week in one of the communities teaching a first aid course, and I'm, again, I'll be able to check on their work, again, providing that the internet works there, making sure that they're keeping up with their stuff while I'm away. They also find that it's really easy, it's quick, it's a great way to find resources. They really like the little add-on. When you're in the doc, you can just click the add-on and you can research stuff and just click and drag for citations as well. And again, what's really great is that they've gone from using it just exclusively in their physics classroom to now going into their English class. They're finding that the research in that other class has become much easier, much more streamlined. So now they're finding it's much less time consuming, and they really enjoy it, including the students that have dropped the class. They also come to me to say, oh Liz, I need a hand with A, B, or C. for my English class or for my math class. You know, can you help me find stuff on that? And, you know, we go back to Google, and that's our go-to, which is fantastic. Outcome. Right now, again, I have the scaffolding set up for the Google site for the department, and within that I also have created a Physics 30 website, you know, using Google Sites, which have, you know, unit plans for all 4 major units for each minor chapter, including assignments, including notes. Now I use Google Forms. I think has probably been the best tool that I've found. I was struggling with, you know, checking their homework. You know, now I have a centralized place. You know, I pose the questions, they fill it out, you know, in their own time as homework, and then in the morning when I have my prep, you know, I check, are they done on time? Have they put in the work? And it's a great way for me to identify areas where I need to go back and, you know, either reteach or supplement their learning with something. You know, if they missed a concept or something. So for me as a teacher, the Google Forms is a great way to ensure that, you know, my students are keeping up with stuff, and for me to identify areas where we need further discussions. Again, it's been a great learning experience. What I would do different, definitely, it's going to help me with my long-term and short-term planning. Again, this is the first time that I've taught the Physics 30 class, and I walked in with, you know, 1 textbook and an online learning network, which really saved my butt this year. Again, I didn't have experience in physics, although I have a science background. You know, without that online learning network, you know, Google Plus has really helped me, as well as Twitter. And my connections to India, and specifically the American Embassy School there, and the physics teachers there have helped me out a lot. Definitely I would take the time to front load a little bit more than I did this year, and I was kind of, you know, learning as I went, and take the time at the start of the year to get the kids really familiar with the tools and then apply it within the content area. I think that that'll really help both myself and the students streamline learning. Again, I've shared access to the site for the entire staff within my department, which has been really a great tool. You know, people have been slowly adding to it, which has been nice. Again, next year, I think out of our department, right now we only have 2 returning staff. Again, it shows the transient nature of where we live in the north. Some people are going on mat leave, some are retiring, some are moving away. So it'll be nice to have those resources in place, and especially next year. You know, we're having a lot of curriculum changes within the north, so it'll be nice to have those resources already set in place for new staff that are coming in. I'm hoping at the start of next year to sit down with the department and actually you know, go through some learning at the start of the year to show them how to use the site and how to add to things. So that's great. And again, my greatest learning again is that, you know, things are always changing, and you know, you need to learn, you need to build and scaffold on what you already know. You know, I'm constantly learning new things, and I just love that Google allows me to have access to my students' learning and to my own learning from anywhere that I want, as long as I can get on the internet. You know, the world's totally open, even when you're in this completely isolated spot on a big rock in the middle of the Arctic. So Google has definitely changed the way that I teach, and you know, has helped open up my students to a larger world. Thank you very much.
Makes it easier because you can do your PowerPoint presentation and your Google Sheets from there, and you don't have to print stuff out. You can just send it to your teacher.
Cool. I can use it for other subjects. Like, it's not only for physics. I can also use it for like chemistry and yeah.
How have you been using it outside of physics class?
I use the Google Forms, and I use it like Word.
Fantastic. How do you find the research tools?
It's super easy and super fast. It's amazing.